Hey, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2, or PF2. I love PF2. And the player core 2 isn't diminishing that, even though they did some stuff I don't like. Versatile Heritages. That's what we're going to go over today. Mainly Dragonblood, but I'm going to go over all three of the Versatile Heritages that are in here. So, for Dhampir, they removed three bloodlines, the Rushi, Selrao, and Adyabao. Only Svetokar and Straveka remain. And they reduced the number of feats they have in total from 25 to 13. They added nothing new. So they just nerfed them. I mean, not nerfed the power, but the nerfing of options sucks more than nerfing power. Ugh. And for Dhampir. Not Dhampir. And for Duskwalker, they removed 10 feats in total. They also changed Life Sense and Resist Ruin. Resist Ruin was basically a straight across sort of nerf. Like, you don't get extra resistance from void stuff, and instead you get extra hit points, so alright, it's fine. Life Sense, I'm actually glad that they changed, because the previous version of Life Sense says you can't distinguish between living and dead things, which makes no fucking sense, because you're a living thing that was dead. Wouldn't you know the difference? You've been both. And this one says that you know the difference. Cool, fine. But removing 10 feats? Yeah, fine. They have to fit it in a book, but it still sucks. And I'm going to ignore it. Dragonblood. I'm going to read all of Dragonblood. If you don't want to hear the lore and stuff, and you want to skip right to feats, go here for Dragonblood feats. Dragonblood. Dragons are powerful creatures, and many have involved themselves deeply in the lives of others. Some might be treated with reverence by a group of smaller humanoids, acting as their protector, or, in rare cases, deity incarnate. Kobolds, I'm looking at you. Others take on a humanoid form to live within a civilization as their neighbor's equal, sometimes hiding their true identity to observe or manipulate. Whatever the dragon's intent or actions during these times, they leave an indelible impression on the people they encounter, whether or not those people realize it. A child may be born as the result of such an influence, and these offspring are known as Dragonbloods. I'll say up front, I'm glad that this is a versatile heritage and not a brand new ancestry, because you can have it apply to any ancestry you want. I can be a dragon-blooded spider person. That's a cool image. I would like to see that. A dragonblood may be born from any ancestry and found in just about any region of Golarion, as dragons tend to go where they please. Some dragonbloods possess obvious draconic traits, from clawed hands to leathery wings to a mighty reptilian tail. These features always resemble similar aspects of the dragonblood's draconic forebear. For instance, the scion of an adamantine dragon might have thick, plate-like scales on their chest. Other dragonbloods more closely resemble dragons than the other half of their heritage, leading many to mistake them for kobolds, Iruxes, or other reptilian ancestries. Iruxes are lizard folk. Such dragonbloods who are proud of their draconic lineage are quick to point out this mistake. There are also those dragonbloods whose outward appearances suggest only a hint of dragonblood. They might have a barely noticeable sheen to their skin or the small nubs of horns, but they often have an outsized force of personality or innate magical abilities. Or they could be mistaken for a tiefling, I would think. Areas in which dragons have more influence or cultural significance see a higher population of dragonbloods than other places. The countries of Tian Sha are often referred to as the Dragon Empires due to the fact that many dragons take active roles in local humanoid societies. A leader in the lands of the Lenorm kings, who takes on a curse from killing a Lenorm, might find that the eyes of their next offspring glow with an eldritch light. Communities that pay homage to the dragon gods Apsu or Dehak can also be blessed with dragonblood births. So far, so good. You might consider yourself quite courageous due to the influence of your draconic heritage. You might revel in the deference some other ancestries pay to you and your ilk. You might feel a burden of responsibility to live up to the legacy of your ancestors. Others, probably, believe you are in a dragon's employ, or are a dragon in disguise and want you to reveal the location of some treasure. That'd be a shitty disguise. assume you can breathe fire or some other element. Others probably assume that. Others probably mistakenly think touching your scales, horns, or wings will bring them good luck, or that bathing in your blood might give them permanent armor spikes. It's a thing. I swear. I mean in myth, not in the game. So here's Dragonblood Uncommon Heritage. You are descended in some way from a dragon. Your physical features might show this outwardly with a pair of draconic horns, patches of scaly skin, or even a tail. Or you might develop an internal reserve of draconic power. You gain the Dragonblood trait in addition to the traits from your ancestry. Add Draconic to your ancestry's list of languages, allowing you to choose it as a language if your intelligence modifier is positive, so it's not a free language. When you roll a success on a saving throw against a fear effect, you get a critical success instead. That's great! You can choose from Dragonblood feats and feats from your ancestry whenever you gain an ancestry feat. Cool. Dragonblood feats. The following feats are available to Dragonblood characters. Lineages. Dragonblood can select any of the following lineages. You can have only one lineage feat. You can select such a feat only at first level, and you can't retrain into or out of this feat. Arcane Dragonblood. Yeah, there's one for each type of magic. Level 1 feat, lineage. You descend from a dragon that wields mastery of their magical abilities, such as a fortune dragon or mirage dragon. As such, you can instinctively grasp the intricacies of magic. You gain the trained proficiency rank in Arcana. If you would automatically become trained in Arcana from your background or class, for example, you instead become trained in a skill of your choice. That is the same info in the next 3 feats, but instead of Arcana, it's religion or occult or nature. The rest of this first feat, Arcane Dragonblood, also says, you gain the Arcane Sense skill feat. If you choose a Draconic Exemplar, you must choose an Arcane Dragon. A Draconic Exemplar is just the dragon you're related to, either physically or spiritually. Divine Dragonblood, first level feat, lineage. You can trace your lineage to a dragon with almost deific powers, such as a diabolic dragon or imperial dragon. You are blessed with a small bit of divine protection. You gain religion. In addition, you are endowed quick reactions. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to initiative rolls. That's the most special one out of all 4 of these. And that's awesome. If you choose a Draconic Exemplar, you must choose a Divine Dragon. Occult Dragonblood. Level 1 feat, lineage. Your blood contains a tiny fragment of unusual or inexplicable power from a mysterious dragon, such as a Conspirator Dragon or Omen Dragon. You are drawn to the stranger parts of the world and can generally spot them with a glance. You're trained in occultism. You gain the Oddity Identification skill feat. If you choose a Draconic Exemplar, you must choose an Occult Dragon. Go figure. Next one, Primal Dragonblood, level 1 feat, lineage. A dragon with a deep connection to the natural world, such as an adamantine dragon or a horned dragon, resides somewhere on your family tree. You tend to trust your instincts and might take on the role of a protector of the wilderness. You gain nature. You can use nature to sense direction and subsist in the wilds. If you choose a Draconic Exemplar, you must choose a Primal Dragon. I think that's the most underwhelming? No, Oddity Identification skill feat. That's the most underwhelming, because it doesn't come up much. Okay, so a brief word on Draconic Exemplars. It's a little inset panel. Some abilities reference your Draconic Exemplar, which is a specific type of dragon from which you draw your draconic powers, typically the type of dragon whose blood runs in your veins. You can choose your exemplar when you create your character, but are only required to choose one when you select a feat or other option that requires you to have one, such as Breath of the Dragon. This means your draconic nature might be a mystery to you for some time. And there's a table that lists the Pathfinder 2 official dragon types, so you can choose. All right. Non-lineage feats. First level, Breath of the Dragon. 2 actions. It has the magical trait. Tapping into the physiology of your draconic ancestor, you can exhale a torrent of energy in a 15-foot cone or a 30-foot line, dealing 1d4 damage. Each creature in the area must attempt a basic saving throw against the higher of your class DC or spell DC. You can't use this ability again for 1d4 rounds. At third level and every 2 levels thereafter, the damage increases by 1d4. The shape of the breath, the damage type, and the saving throw match those of your Draconic Exemplar. See above. This ability has the trait associated with the type of damage it deals. If this sounds familiar, it's because you know kobolds. This is from the Kobold Ancestry, which no longer has it. Yes, it's been removed from kobolds. Let's read the next one for more fun and games. Level 1 feat, Draconic Aspect. You have an obvious draconic feature, such as sharp claws, a snout full of sharp teeth, or a strong reptilian tail that you can use offensively. You gain your choice of one of the following unarmed attacks. The attack is in the brawling group and has the listed damage die and traits. Claw, 1d4 slashing, agile, finesse, unarmed. Jaws, 1d6 piercing, forceful, unarmed. Tail, 1d6 bludgeoning, sweep, trip, unarmed. Special, you can select this feat only at first level, and you can't retrain into or out of this feat, nor can you change the type of attack you gained. That's right, that's also from kobolds, and kobolds no longer have it. These two were ripped right out of their scaly grip. So now kobolds might look reptilian, and they still have a couple of feats that nod to draconic stuff, but they lost their draconic power. They don't have these anymore. What the fuck were you thinking, Paizo? Come on, people love playing kobold little dragon things, like fierce little or even terrified little dragons. Now, if you want to play the same kobold you've been playing, you have to take kobold and Dragonblood as the heritage. You just get fewer options. I hate options being taken away. Don't control my game. Ah. Anyway, let's read on with Dragonblood. Level 1 feat, Draconic Resistance. Draconic magic safeguards you against harm. You gain resistance equal to half your level, minimum 1, to the damage type associated with your Draconic Exemplar. Double this resistance against damage of that type dealt to you by dragons. If your Draconic Exemplar is associated with bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, instead of getting resistance to that type, you can choose Acid, Cold, Fire, Electricity, or Sonic. Fine. I think that might have come from kobolds too. I'm not sure. Next, level 1 feat, Draconic Sight. Prerequisites, low light vision. You have a fraction of the senses of your draconic forebear. You gain low light vision, or you gain dark vision if your ancestry already grants you low light vision. Both other versatile heritages in this book give you that for free. I'm just not impressed with this so far. So far, they're just like not as good as other versatile heritages, and they've stolen from ancestries, so while the flavor is good, the feats are, I just, no, don't give me this. Next feat. Level 1, Dragon Lore. You've set your mind on learning more about your ancestor and their kin, and perhaps you were even raised by a dragon parent. You've come to understand how dragons can invoke fear, but also how they've contributed to society as a whole. You gain the trained proficiency rank in diplomacy and intimidation, and that makes sense to me for dragons, because they deal with people and they're fucking terrifying. If you would automatically become trained in one of those skills from your background or class, for example, you instead become trained in the skill of your choice, obviously. You also gain the additional lore general feat for Dragon Lore, which might be the single most useful ancestral lore feat, gain lore you can get. Anyway. Next feat, level 1, Scaly Hide. You are born with a layer of scales across your entire body that resemble those of your draconic progenitor. When you're unarmored, the scales give you a +2 item bonus to AC with a dexterity cap of +3. The item bonus to AC from these scales is cumulative with armor potency runes on your explorer's clothing, the mystic armor spell, or bands of force. Cool, I'm glad they specified that stuff. Special, you can select this feat only at first level, and you can't retrain into or out of this feat. That sounds familiar too. Did that come from kobolds? Maybe I'm just overprotective of them. Next feat. Level 5, Deadly Aspect. Prerequisites, Draconic Aspect. You have honed the unarmed attack your Draconic Heritage has granted you to a lethal degree. The unarmed attack you gained from Draconic Aspect gains the Deadly D8 trait. Fine. I don't think that's worth level 5 feat. I don't know. I think it is. Yeah. Because it's not just increasing the die type, it's giving you an extra ability with that natural attack. Next, level 5 feat, Draconic Scent. Your sense of smell has heightened to be as keen as that of a dragon. You gain imprecise scent with a range of 30 feet. At their discretion, the GM might double this range if you're downwind from the creature, or have this range if you're upwind. Fine. That's also completely appropriate feat. Next feat, level 5 Dragon's Flight. 1 action frequency once per round. You have grown a small pair of draconic wings, or have honed your use of the wings you've had since birth. You fly during that action. If you don't normally have a fly speed, you gain a fly speed of 20 feet for this movement. This is really just taken from the Howl of the Wild Awakened Animal Ancestry. Or copied, not taken. If you aren't on solid ground at the end of this movement, you fall. Great, fine, you fly. It works. It makes sense. Next feat, level 5, Traditional Resistances, Prerequisites, Arcane Dragonblood, Divine Dragonblood, Occult Dragonblood, or Primal Dragonblood. Due to your blood, you have some resistance to certain types of magic. You gain a +1 status bonus to AC and saves against spells and other magical effects from the same tradition as your lineage. Cool. The bonus increases to +2 against sleep and paralysis effects, and I guess that is their only nod to dragons being immune to sleep and paralysis. So fine. Next feat, level 9. Formidable Breath. Prerequisites, Breath of the Dragon, that you stole from kobolds. Thanks to rigorous breathing exercises and a diet similar to that of your lineage, your magical breath is more powerful. A diet similar to you? You're eating like people and kobolds? The area of your Breath of the Dragon increases to 30 feet for a cone or 60 feet for a line, and the damage dice are d6s instead of d4s. I like that a lot. That's neat. That's impressive. That's a pretty draconic breath. Next feat, level 9, True Dragon's Flight. Your wings have grown more powerful, capable of keeping you aloft longer. You have a fly speed of 20 feet at all times. That's about on par with flying ancestries. So, fine. I don't like that it's not equal to your land speed, because it's really hard to increase things that are not tied to your land speed. Next feat, level 9, Wing Buffet. Yum. Sorry, Wing Buffet. 2 actions. It's an attack. Prerequisites, expert in athletics. You have a pair of draconic wings strong enough to batter your foes away and shove them away. Choose up to 2 creatures adjacent to you. Attempt an athletics check and compare it to the fortitude DC of each target. This counts as 2 attacks for your multiple attack penalty, but the penalty doesn't increase until after both attacks. Critical success. The target takes bludgeoning damage equal to double your level and is pushed up to 10 feet away from you. Neat! Success. The target takes bludgeoning damage equal to your level and is pushed up to 5 feet away from you. Still useful. Failure. The target takes bludgeoning damage equal to half your level. Fine. Critical failure. You fall prone at the end of this activity. And you squirm on the ground because you're a wussy dragon wannabe. Next feat, level 13, Draconic Veil. Like some dragons, your forebear had the supernatural ability to change their shape to walk among humanoids. You have learned how to mimic this ability. You can cast humanoid form as a 5th rank innate spell once per day, except that the duration is increased to 1 hour. The spell's tradition matches your draconic exemplars. This is quite underwhelming. I don't mean the entire Versatile Heritage, but this specifically. Like, look at the Kitsune. They can do this way fucking earlier than this. It doesn't last for an hour, but still. Well, no, they can just switch back and forth. And dragons are supposed to be like the essence of shape-changing magic. Like, even in our world, the symbol of a dragon means change. Fine. Level 13 feat, Majestic Presence, 1 action. Has the traits emotion, fear, mental, and visual. By taking an impressive stance, the full force of your personality cows lesser beings. That's right, it turns them into cows. Each creature in a 20-foot emanation must attempt a will save against the higher of your class DC or spell DC. Regardless of the result of the saving throw, the creature is temporarily immune to your majestic presence for 24 hours. Critical success, the creature is unaffected. Duh. Success, the creature is frightened 1. Failure, the creature is frightened 2. Critical failure, the creature is frightened 4. That's cool. Each creature... Yes, group demoralize, group fear, that's great. Very useful. Next feat, level 17, Form of the Dragon. You can briefly transform into a paragon of your draconic ancestry. You can cast Dragon Form as an 8th rank innate spell once per day. This spell has the same tradition as your draconic exemplar. When you cast this innate spell, you must transform into your draconic exemplar. However, if you have the Arcane Dragonblood, Divine Dragonblood, Occult Dragonblood, or Primal Dragonblood lineage feat, you can instead choose any dragon of that tradition. Okay. I mean, it's good. I guess it's what you expect. You turn into a dragon. Level 17 feat, Lingering Breath. Prerequisites, Breath of the Dragon. Your draconic breath destroys the surrounding environment and leaves your enemies in pain. When you use Breath of the Dragon, the area of your breath becomes difficult terrain for 1 minute. In addition, a creature who fails or critically fails its saving throw takes 2d6 persistent damage of the same type. I love this. This feels good. This feels draconic. And it's also carrying forward a 3.5 feat, which is Lingering Breath, doing persistent damage in an area. And I like that it also makes it difficult terrain. That's neat. Very neat. Yep, this could be, like, this character could be useful against an army because they can just, like, kill and hinder a huge swath of enemy combatants. Who else doesn't love... Who doesn't love the rat folk dragonkin? This is great. I'm a dragon rat. Yeah. Anyway. I'm not planning on going over any of the ancestries. You have heard me bitch about what they did to kobolds. Kobolds are mostly just cowering little creatures. They changed kobolds so that kobolds now, like, try to worship the most powerful, closest thing to them. It just happens that it's dragons most of the time, but it's anything. It really just seems like Paizo doesn't know what to do with kobolds, because kobolds and gnomes were originally the same creature. They're just, like, in folklore, they're just, like, earth spirits. And then D&D made them into their own creature, and they're these little dog-headed, barking lizard people when there's already lizard folk. Like, they don't have a home. They don't fit into a slot. So they're trying to make one for them. So they're the cowards that worship anything. Okay, sure. Does that rat have lipstick? No, I think her lips are just pink. Could be lipstick, I don't know. Goes with her hair. Oh my god, Lude, I hate you. There's like little hairs stuck to my fingers. Ah! God damn it. Thanks for letting me borrow your eyes and ears. If you're a patron, I really appreciate you being here. If you want to be a patron or look into it, the link's down below. The Discord link down below isn't just for patrons. Just come join us. Chat about stuff. Like how much you hate that kobolds were given a hard time in this stupid book. I'm not happy with some of the things that are in this. Like oracles. Oh, you're going to hear me talk about oracles. Anyway, more videos coming up. There's the playlist for this series here. Player Core 2, playlist for the previous series, Howl of the Wild, right there. I will be getting back to the Wardens of Wildwood, but not yet. Thank you for joining me. See you soon.